All right, they ran the Preakness yesterday. It was won by the mighty Journalism. We're going to review the race now. All right, post position 2, horse number 2 is Journalism. You're going to see the 8 make the lead here, Clever again. In the 9, Gosger with Luis Saez is going to get that position right outside of him. They're going to control the pace, but we're watching number 2, Journalism. Here was yesterday's Preakness.
In the gate. And they're off. Seems a perfect start in the 150th running of the Preakness Stakes, and Clever again is wasting no time and put right on the lead with that speed. Goal-oriented on the inside, takes back just slightly. Gosger's up on the outside. Gosger runs to second. Goal-oriented settles into the rail in third. American Promises in fourth. River Thames is fifth, only 4 lengths off for speed. Into the clubhouse turn they roll. Here is Journalism. Journalism's on the inside, 4 lengths from the front runner, around the first turn and past the 7/8 pole. River Thames on the outside of that. Here's Pay Billy just off that pair, followed by Heart of Honor, and Sandman is last of the runners. About 13 lengths will cover front to back. 6 furlongs left to go, and Clever again in control of the pace in the Preakness. Leads Gosger. The opening quarter was soft, the half in 46 3/5 of a second, and so Clever again, a length lead. Clever again from Gosger in second. On the outside, River Thames moves to third. Goal-oriented is racing in fourth. American Promise is in fifth. Umberto Rispoli is getting after Journalism right now into the far turn run. Has 5.5 to make up. The leader's still Clever again. And Sandman is trying to unwind, but third last at this point. And Pay Billy, and trailing the field is Heart of Honor. They are midway on the turn. And Gosger runs alongside now to Clever again to contest the lead. And Journalism is moving through on the inside. Slight steady, little bit of traffic, but Journalism is trying to box on through. Very tight still is Journalism. Gosger's come away with a lead. A lot of bumping going on as Clever again steadied and shuffled back. Journalism shifted in. Here's Sandman on the outside trying to run on. Journalism has recovered. Journalism has recovered and is coming. Journalism is sensational run despite traffic. Gosger was second, then Sandman third, and goal-oriented.
Like meat and potatoes analysis of what happened in this race. This little AI thing cracks me up over here, where they're calculating the in-running winning percentages, and this thing was going bonkers in this race. At this point, they've got Gosger 95% to win, Sandman 2%. I mean, when all the trouble occurred, it was like fun watching these numbers tick away. I believe this is like an AI thing to measure the in-running win percentages of horses, and you see it ticking as the race is going. I was kind of cracking up, watching the numbers change for each horse. But there was considerable amount of trouble for Journalism through the far turn and into early stretch, and we'll take a look at the drone view. All right, you can see the drone view here, and here's the contact from the overhead vantage point. He got turned completely sideways there. Sandman, with all the momentum, comes by him, and he's got to dig in and re-rally. Right here, it looks like the bird has flown. And Gosger's gone. But Journalism, with a determined stretch run, powers past him late. I pointed out while I was handicapping the Preakness and actually the Derby too. I was listening to these interviews leading up to the race, where they interviewed the trainer Michael McCarthy, Journalism's trainer, and Umberto Rispoli, his jockey. And in both instances, before both races, his connections said they thought they were going to be close to the lead. In the Derby, they said they thought they were going to be on the first flight. I said that was never going to happen. He just doesn't have that kind of early speed. And likewise in the Preakness, they wanted to be closer than I knew they would be, and that worried me a little bit. So for that reason, I'm not going to knock the ride of Umberto Rispoli because that was the mindset that they went into. They thought they were going to be close. They were confident they were going to be close. And if you just look at nuts and bolts pace figures, they were not going to be close. They were coming out of these, 5-horse fields. In the Santa Anita Derby, it was a 5-horse field. There were 2 Bafferts, 2 John Sheriffs in journalism, and they weren't going to mix it up on the front end. They tried to box them in and go real slow. San Felipe was 3 Baffert horses, and there was some other non-consequential long shot in there that didn't have any early speed. So he's in these real short fields with paces that are not true. They're slow paces. So he's able to lay close in those races comfortably. But when he gets in to these big fields, 19-horse Kentucky Derby, but there was a lot of early speed in this race. Horses sprinters stretching out, horses that made the lead going shorter distances, horses that needed to get to the lead. And journalism did not have to be ridden that aggressively early, did not have to be that close. Anyway, here's what I said in the handicapping. Very good second in the Kentucky Derby. His connections, I think, wanted him closer to the pace than he really should have been. I think they should have just let him settle back, and they might run into that same trap again here in the Preakness where they find themselves back a little further than they think they should be and they're a little too aggressive. But really, this race is all about, can journalism run to his recent races? Because if he does, he's going to win this race. It's just flat out, plain and simple. All right, so at this point of the race is where you start to see Rispoli go to a ride on journalism. He is going to a ride on this horse not a full ride, not a full all out ride where he's but I mean, he's pushing and shoving on this horse and getting after him at this point when I don't really think he needed to be that aggressive. But this goes into this is not a rider error so much as, an error by the trainer and the rider going in thinking that they're going to be closer than they actually are. Then when they're not as close, they get a little bit panicky, a little bit aggressive. Come on, pick it up. Come on, pick it up. And you're going to see it right here. You see, it's not a crazy ride, but he's pushing him along, pushing him along, pushing him along. Pushing him. I mean, this is a pretty steady ride here, and they're not even into the far turn yet. A little more patient he didn't have some horse outside pushing him. If he's just a little more patient here, he might be back here, but the horse isn't having to work as hard. It's comfortable. He could swing out about 2/3 of the way through the turn. He was going to have to go way outside, but it wouldn't matter. He'd have so much momentum and would have won this race so much easier. I just thought he wanted to be close, and that aggression just got him into a trick bag here. He's in an absolute trick bag. Pratt's elbow him. Now he's going to elbow Pratt back. They're turning each other sideways. And Sandman, who was way behind him, has made the steady move past him. But Sandman runs nice when he's away from Churchill, but he's just not the same timber as journalism. The second place finisher, Gosger, run a phenomenal race. He was in front by 5 lengths at the stretch call. Wasn't able to fend off journalism, but you see his number there improved 10 points. And this is a horse that, I really loved his maiden win. I thought his maiden win was real good. Bet him back here in the Lexington, but here was the concern that I had about Gosger coming in. I really like this maiden win, but the horse he beat, Pitkin, in the maiden race, come back and was off the board in a maiden race, was 4th at Keeneland in a disappointing effort. And then Bracket Buster, the horse he beat in the Lexington, came back in a non-winners of one other than allowance race and finished 7th. That was the race that goal-oriented the Baffert horse won. Bracket Buster was 7th in that race. So from the 9-hole, 126-pound step up in competition, I thought that would be too much to ask for Gosger, but he ran a phenomenal race, absolutely phenomenal race. And he did it with a nice trip and a real nice ride by Luis Saez, who is just the strongest front-end rider there is. Third place finisher Sandman ran okay. He always seems to run a good race away from Churchill Downs. Maybe they should just keep him away from Churchill Downs. I don't know why. He just doesn't seem, he seems like he always runs a good race when he's not at Churchill Downs. All right, and if there's one horse who I was excited for him about what happened to him in this race, it was the number 6 horse, River. I think it's pronounced River Thames or River something. It looks like it's spelled River Thames, but I don't even know how to say this horse's name. But this is a real talented horse that Pletcher has just continuously tried to stretch out. Believe me, this horse wants to go 6.5 or 7 furlongs. This does not want to be a route horse. Pletcher's a great trainer and has tried his best to stretch this horse out, but he bobbled at the start. He was wide on the turns. Arad Ortiz looked like he had a lot of horse at about the 3/8 pole, but when it came to needing any kind of kick in the stretch, River Thames or River Thames or whatever his name is, just give Arad the middle finger. I mean, he just didn't finish for him. And Todd Pletcher is going to change his training pattern with this horse. He's going to focus on sprint races with him, I believe, and cut him back in distance. And when he does that, this is going to be a phenomenal sprinter, in my opinion. This is a horse that just wants to go 6 to 7 furlongs. But because he's so good, they tried, Pletcher tried as hard as he could to turn him into a classic distance route horse. It's kind of like, I've seen some guys, they somehow stumble into these real pretty girls with like 50 tattoos and 5 mental illnesses, and they burn their ex-boyfriend's house. They want to try to turn him into a housewife. Don't do that. Actually, that was a horrible analogy. Forget I even said that. But this horse wants to go short distances, and I believe this performance was for the best, because when he cuts back to 7 furlongs, you're going to want to bet him. Anyway, journalism survived some real exciting, dramatic moments, surged to victory, and boy, would it not be fun to see him have his rematch with Sovereignty in the 1.25 mile Belmont Stakes at Saratoga. You'll have Baeza there, who was a real good third in the Kentucky Derby, real good second in the Santa Anita Derby, and Hill Road will be there on his left lead, grinding through the lane. It should be a very, very exciting Belmont Stakes. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you for watching this video, everyone.